This is the WFT News Podcast, and I'm Colin Dunphy. Our guest today is Rick Doc Walker. This is our very first episode of this podcast, so it's an extreme honor to have it with Doc. And we're just so pleased to have you, our viewers and listeners, with us today as well. This is a fan-based pod. I'm a fan. I used to play soccer growing up and lacrosse into college, but that was it for me. I was really into fantasy football for 12 years, and it's probably been 8 years since I've played. Now I'm really just into Washington football. Born and raised in Washington, D.C. Now I live in Prince George's County on a farm, and I grow chestnuts and pawpaws. Personally, when I think of how I want this podcast to be, I'm thinking of Andrew Brandt, who has a great career now in media. He's a former GM of the Packers. His kind of guiding philosophy is to go narrow and go deep. So for me, that's really been like stats and backstories. Really into the analytics and understanding the game from a broad perspective. But over time, I've really just appreciated the backstories and the perspective that individual people bring to their fandom. And so I find that really interesting too. And I hope that this podcast can bring both of those stories, stats and like the personal aspect. So a little bit about my blog. It's called WFTnews.com. I started it about 6 months ago. I've written over 30 posts. It's primarily on the draft, free agency, like some analytics, general team building. My kind of first big break, I'm so super thankful for Kyle Ronick and the guys at the Burgundy Zone for asking me to write for their blog, theburgundyzone.com. And I love their work. I'm also very thankful to have a guest writer for WFT News now who goes by @GatorFootball. That's GAITER football. And he writes great work for us. I love his writing style. I think he's a better writer than me. His most recent piece was on a season-long, game-by-game prediction for the Washington football team. Please go check that out now before he goes on to bigger and better things. I'll be cheering him on. So as I transition now to like the focus of this podcast, I wanted to try and answer one question. And it starts with, why is Washington carrying 4 tight ends? Last year they carried 3, and we know that Washington is looking to get more explosive plays. That's really the whole deal for me, at least when we look at the NFL. When we look back at Washington's Tampa Bay wildcard game, we did see Washington use 3 tight end sets twice. This was with Logan Thomas, Jeremy Sprinkle, and Marcus Ball. These 2 plays produced one 11-yard run by Antonio Gibson to the outside left, and then a 29-yard play action to Logan Thomas shortly thereafter, same drive. This amounts to 40 yards. These 2 plays alone. That actually is 10% of their total output that day. So when you look at it this way, 3 tight end sets or jumbo sets really it's an explosive formation. So I want to talk really about how the H-back and how 2 tight end sets can produce explosive plays. When we look back at the H-back, it was created by Joe Gibbs in response to Lawrence Taylor for the Giants. And so the H-back would sit behind the line of scrimmage to the outside of a tight end. So you have now 3 people who can engage in the pass protection. That's the tackle, the tight end, and the H-back. But the H-back is on the move. Because they're off the line of scrimmage, and therefore they are also a weapon in all facets of the game. I want to set the stage also a little bit for play action by starting, with the stat of the day. And today's stat of the day is going to be EPA. That stands for expected points added. When you look at the EPA of play action plays, they produce twice as many expected points as non-play action passes. The difference there is 0.1 to 0.05. Now, those numbers are pretty small, but the correlation is clear, and the result of that, or rather the cause of that, is there's just a lot of noise within the system. But what you see is a clear correlation that play action passes are more explosive than non-play action passes, and much more productive than running plays, which actually have a negative EPA of 0.08. Okay. When we talk about play action in 2021, we really wanted to talk about Kyle Shanahan. His outside zone running scheme is really great at pulling the defense all in one direction. At a certain point, after doing that a couple times, he'll do a play action bootleg where the quarterback will go to the other side of the field and often will have a great opportunity for a deep crosser, or potentially just keep the ball himself and get a nice little scramble. I want to bring that up because when Doc in this interview talks about the wing T formation and the H-back, he talks about trying to outflank the defense. And I think that's a similar concept, but I'm just going to leave it there because I think it's really interesting to see how teams are trying to set up play action. And, I just want to say again, I think Doc is just the perfect first guest for us. For him, life is not just about football. It's also about community and how you can improve your life at home and, with your family. So we're going to make sure to talk a lot about that because that's something that's become really important to me. You might also notice that Doc is a motivational speaker, so prepare to get motivated. And we really just thank you for joining us. Please follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @Colin_WFT News. And just so thankful to have you. Thank you. Bye. Yeah, all right. Thank you so much for joining me, Doc Walker of Washington football fame. And now you've got a wonderful Patreon podcast, and you're doing the pregame for Fox 5 every Sunday morning at 7:30. Just so thankful that you could join me for this, my first podcast on WFT News. I should say this is actually for our listeners and viewers. This is our second time talking. You made the mistake of not recording our first conversation yesterday.
That was my fault. I hit the wrong button. Put it all on me. Seriously, my bad.
You work, no, man.
But we're gonna make it up and we'll do it again. And that's why there's training camp, mini camp, OTAs. Yeah. And look what it takes.
Right.
You don't just walk out on the field. Tampa and the Cowboys don't just walk out there Thursday night. I mean, it's a process. And so I messed up. I hit the wrong button.
You good.
And now we're doing it again. So hey, look, I make a lot of mistakes, It's just one of those things. But the key is that I keep coming back at it, man. And I don't give up. I have to be terminated in order to get me out. Even if they don't allow me in the building, I still come through. I come through the ventilation. You can't purge yourself from me. It's impossible.
That's one of my favorite things about you, your perseverance into, through your career at UCLA to Cincinnati in 1977. And then you came to Washington in 1980 and you stayed here through 85 and won the Super Bowl, of course, in 1982. But then you transitioned to this awesome broadcasting career.
We lost one too. We lost the Super Bowl.
Oh,
we stunk up the joint in Super Bowl 18. One of the best teams I've ever been a part of, but we didn't finish. And you have to finish. And It's the beautiful thing about life. I tell people all the time, oh, I had my worst year. I got COVID. I got laid off. Yeah, but you're alive. And as long as you're alive, then you can still win. You can still get back up on that medal stand. You may not get the gold, you get the bronze, but you can still compete. And that's what it's all about. I hate people that live in the rearview mirror. And I don't mean hate in a main that despise you. I just think you're weak, that you're always talking about what you used to do, but you can't take that to Giant or Safeway. They go Whole Foods. Hey, I used to be, no, they want credit card or cash. That's it. So the bottom line to it, no matter how wonderful, sensational you used to be, I'm not in the past. I'm in the present.
Right.
And the future. And that to me is very important. So I don't sign number. Put your number on. I don't have a damn number. That belongs to the guy that's wearing it right now. What planet are you on?
Got you.
People want to force me to be in my past. I don't do that. I don't do that because you don't pay me for my past.
Right.
See? If you all want to start sending some checks my way, hey, man, we can go through that. We can talk about the fun bunch. We can do all that. But that's really not what it's about. It's about these kids that are playing now, what they're trying to get accomplished. And they were champions last year, NFC East champions. Man, I don't take that lightly. You can laugh all you want, Cowboy fans, but I'm saying it's a step. And it's a step in the right direction.
Yes.
And I'm just tired of being in dead last place in the division.
Yeah. This offseason's been great for me. I think there's been so many little steps in the right direction among the fan base, among the organization. For me personally, as I segue into my first question, I mean, my COVID story, I think everyone has one, is a part of like my career change. I was an organ donation coordinator for 7 years, and then I decided I wanted to work for my dad in real estate, and now I'm starting a farm. I've been living here for 5 years, and it's very isolating. So I've enjoyed being a more active member in the fan base by creating a blog and like having an opinion and just listening to all the different opinions of our fan base. And it's, so I wanted to ask you, what ways you found, that kind of like dialogue, community, fellowship, through COVID and after it. Like, I think I heard you saying on the Al Galdi podcast that you really enjoyed your podcasting days almost as much. I'm sorry, your broadcasting days. It was as fun, that fellowship, that community with your colleagues, as
980. The 980 28-year ride was from 570. They called us ESPN. Now they changed it around, but they kept 980, and that's the important thing now. And so it's a brand that still exists, and whether or not they allow me in the door or not, this is irrelevant. It's the fact that what is there, and the alum as an alumni, and we had annual events. This is just the most fun thing I've ever done outside of competitive athletics. So those guys, the Scott Jacksons, Al Galdis, I've had them on, and they'll all be on. Dan Miller, my first partner. Of course, we rest in peace John Thompson and Lamont Jordan, who was our first intern, and
I saw that.
Steve Solomon, who I work with now on the podcast.
Yes.
And but again, Scott Lynn, who is a brother. Steve Zabin. I love Knockhead Saturday, Zabe show on thank God he's got a show on Saturdays. He's all over the world. Zabe's everywhere. But he's an artist. The dude is so good at what he does. And when you B. Mitch, I saw yes. We had inducted Gary Clark into the DC Sports Hall of Fame. And so B. Mitch is a broadcast alum. You can't make this up. I mean, with Al Koken and Steve and of course the boss, Chris Johnson, CJ, and all the many, the Mark Stearns of the world, the Anthony Haney, who's still at 980, and saw this kid who weighs 90 pounds, and he's a Syracuse guy, so we beat him up a lot. I could go on and on and on, and that's how I feel about these guys, man. Todd Castleberry, one of our first boss, and that, and so when I think about that unit, nobody can take that away. It's because some jackass makes a decision. That doesn't now. Again, it's like the guy's being wounded, and you come back. It doesn't stop anything.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty about this. Now we're in podcast, so everybody got a podcast, but it doesn't mean everybody has a good one.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that everybody has one that people want to hear what they have to say. Steve Solomon's podcast, I listen to it every day. And it is constant. If you got a blood pressure issue, check out Solly.
Okay.
It's a style. To me, it's like reading. These are like books. You would never look at a person's bookcase and go, oh my God, it's too many books. But that's what podcasts are. It's a person's individual, his slice of the world. If you'd like to jump into my world and in the 66 years that it's been comprised, and that's what I'm learning about this. It's not that the Giants just beat the Dodgers. I mean, that's heartbreaking for me, but they're making millions of dollars. They'll be okay.
Yeah.
It is really about us connecting and dealing with what happened down in Louisiana, and a hurricane, and that there's flooding in New York City.
Yeah.
And what are we going to do about it? I mean, we can't hide. You can jump into your point spreads all you want to. Eventually, in order for these games to exist, and this is what I hope that we would have paid attention to with the pandemic, we had no fans. When you look at the highlights now, you don't even know how that happened.
Yeah. Football
games, but it happened. And you would think we were smart enough as a people to realize that it could happen again, but some of us are so arrogant,
right,
that we don't agree with it. So, and the rest of us will have to suffer for their stupidity, because unfortunately, some of the dumbest people on earth happen to be in charge in our coaching. So, I mean, hey, that's the way it is.
So I appreciate what you're saying. I mean, because, like I said, a community and that feeling of belonging
it's important.
It's become more important to me. And, I think, just my opportunity, I hope to have a good podcast. I'm working on it with your help. But just being able to engage with other podcast producers in this fan base community. Yeah, there's over 40, but everyone has their own perspective, their own point of view, and that's what makes it unique, and it's like, so being able to identify, I just wanted to say something.
No, it's important. Look, it's important. I love now, watching all the news and seeing NBC. They're doing a piece down in Texas. I think it's South Lakes High School. They have a podcast. NBC puts it up there. They're not promoting a TV show. They're promoting a podcast. And I thought, boy, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Look where this is going, to where television would be promo and podcast. And I just think that I've always utilized YouTube as I walk and work out, and I'm always listening to something. I go, you can get in shape and learn simultaneously. So I always tell my audience, don't be lazy. Don't just jog and listen. And don't just listen and jog. I mean, don't sit on the couch and read a book. Put your Nikes or your Reeboks or your Under Armours on and go out and listen to the book while you walk 2 miles.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Listening, it forces me to be imaginative. I have to really focus on what the person is saying, what they're trying to say.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And daydream.
Yes.
And imagine and see yourself in a position of success. See you doing what you really want to do. Then figure out a way to get there. What's the quickest path to success? Who doesn't want to know that?
Right.
What's the quickest path to success? And it's building that game plan for your life. That's why we're all into sports, but I'm more into my game plan than I am in athletics. Right. I enjoy an audience of 400 or 500 talking about how to get better than to talk about the Skins game. That's not my number one passion in life, talking about burgundy and gold. No, it's two. Number one is talking about how we reach our goals, how as human beings we can prosper, that we can have winning teams in our communities, winning teams in our homes.
Yes.
So, I mean, this is for fun. Totally. The business is about, helping people overcome obstacles. And as I say, reducing the high hurdles of adversity to a speed bump. That's what excites me.
So let's transition to football. I want to focus in with under the big kind of concept of like explosive plays. That's how I am approaching, you talk about like, what's your little lane? And I that's right. What I'm kind of into. Right. But I'm reminded again of this great appearance you made on the Al Galdi podcast, where you talked about, your approach to football was first with defense, then ball control, and then your explosive plays. So, in my looking at like the tight end position and how we can create explosive plays through play action, that has kind of brought me to appreciate more, the ball control and the defense. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like we're coming at it from different directions. But so let's start, if it's all right, at the explosive plays and how the ball control offense kind of creates those under that concept. And then my first question to you on this is going to be like, how could you describe the wing back? Because that's something, when I look back on your film, I see you doing, and when I see the preseason, I saw Ricky Seals Jones playing that wing back position and even Logan Thomas. So can you describe what that wing back kind of does and what it looks like?
Well, in terminology, wing T offense, this is called the H-back. And it's the halfback that Joe Gibbs, Don Coryell, Joe Gibbs, the people with Disco 70s. Then what you're trying to do is outflank your opponent in one sense. Well, that's what wing is. I've got a guy outside the cheek of the tight end. But the beauty of the H-back is that it's not a stationary position. It's a move position. So the position is executed on the move, which requires timing, cadence, and you're trying to not let the defense know where you're going to attack. You want to aid the strong side, but cut down the recognition time for a defense. You're talking about a second. We're talking about these things are minute, but they're huge because defense is about reaction. They identify the ball and they attack the ball.
Yes.
That's why misdirection. The Kansas City Chiefs are now they're the Joe. That's Andy built off Joe and then Peyton and Shanahan. There ain't a whole bunch of them, a handful of them. Peyton down with the New Orleans Saints. There's only about 5 of them. Everybody else is chasing ghosts. These people have been doing it for a long time. Belichick, it's just amazing. Everybody goes, oh my God, what do you hear about Dallas? Athlete. You can never say Cowboys without talent. Do you ever discuss the New England Patriots with talent? How often do people go, man, Patriots super talented? They don't.
Not often.
When they get it, they get a Randy Moss, almost 18-0. That's the difference. They're 1, 2 plays away from perfection when you give Bill a loaded gun. The rest of these clowns, you could put an AK-47 on them. They don't know how to hit a target. Bill could have a Derringer and beat you. This is the difference in it. Yeah. Because he gets it. So I outflank you with the H-back, and now I don't let you know where the ball's going to be snapped.
Okay.
So the quarterback and the H-back have to be in sync because the cadence is everything. Because you can't overrun the spot, whether it's the nose tackle, you're trying to help the center hit. If it's the defensive tackle, I'm trying to help the guard or tackle on a rub. They initiate contact. You hit them off the post.
Okay.
There's so many different things. We had dash. We ran dash with Joe T would call around the circle. I can go on and on and on. But the point of it is that it's illusion. We want to take away your ability to recognize where we want to go. Cut your time down because let's face it, high IQ offensive guys, lower IQ defensive guys. We all know the jokes. The only reason they're over there because they couldn't figure out how to play offense. Now, they hate me for that, but they got to just hate me forever. Right. Because offense is different. Now, and all kidding aside, look at the world champion, the Bucs defense, well-oiled machine. They stunt. They do a lot of things because they don't give a damn what you're doing. They're going to beat you with speed and power because they have powerful, fast guys. Their linebackers are phenomenal because they take away your cushion.
Yeah.
And they rush the quarterback well. So a whole bunch of gibberish, but what it means is that deception with execution and then power. Because it wasn't a finesse thing. It's a power thing as opposed to finesse. The 49ers did it with finesse, and they were brilliant at it. The best in the world at it. The Bill Wall, oh, my God.
Yeah, got you right, yeah.
That's a different system.
Right.
But again, and we played them, we had wars. You know, back in the day, it was Cowboys, Niners, Skins, Giants. It was just, right. But everybody had their own philosophy. Bill took it a different way in New York. Bravado, you know, O.J. Anderson, fullback, slobber knockers. They're going to knock you off the ball, and they're accurate with the ball, and Phil Simms. Nobody has an errant quarterback. Montana, Theismann, Sims, what do they all have in common? They don't turn it over. Mm-hmm. They're not there to woo you. They can move and can run. It's not what they do. And that's how that was. And now this new era, everybody's trying to put a world-class athlete there. Well, we got to see it work. Once we see it work.
There's not a world-class athlete available for 32 teams. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know. The kid in Buffalo looks awful damn good to me. And the kid in Kansas City, they move around, but they're not runners. Now, I love Baltimore. Okay, but they haven't proven that they can get to the Super Bowl with that. Mm-hmm. So the key is to get Kansas City, they can get the Super Bowl with it. That's what we're into right now. And I love Lamar. But we got to find out. I love the Ravens' approach to football. It might be my favorite approach in the game. But they got to prove that they can get through the championship game and jump the broom. And that's what everybody's looking for. What's the winning combination of it? And, you know, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, you know, if we take it to college ranks, because they have to rotate. By graduation, you can't keep your guy there like Tom Brady. You got to flip them. So they got to be much better teachers.
Yes. Yeah. Talking about college, there's an author I really like. His name's Seth Galina. He writes for PFF. And he talks about how a lot of teams are going from like a spread offense with 3 and 4 wide receivers to now he's calling it a super spreader offense. And so you have like your 2 wide receivers at the sidelines, spreading the field as far as possible. And then they're taking away one of those wide receivers and bringing back an H-back, going 2 tight end sets because it allows for more deception. And I think in a way you're bringing more pass protectors in so that you're allowing more opportunity to throw down the field. And that's something that Arthur Smith did a lot last year. And I'm rambling now, but you know,
Joe Gibbs did the same thing. We did in the 80s.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And not that, I mean, we did in the 80s. We had explode package. I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways to skin a cat, but it goes by your personnel and who you have. And you got to figure out how you're going to design your team. I don't know what they know about their team, Washington, but I know based on what I've seen, I say their defensive, their success should start with defense. And then to me, defense equals ball control only because I can't 3 and punt. I got big people that need oxygen and Gatorade. So I got to give them 2 to 3 drive commitment with my offense. If we don't bust a grape, if we don't score a point, I got to let my hogs hit the trough.
Right.
See, and I got to think that way. Okay.
Yeah.
So I got to offensively, I got to get a couple first downs. We couldn't score a touchdown in preseason. I know everybody says it's preseason until it's not.
Right.
That's why I love the Ravens, New England Patriots, Tampa Bay. They take preseason like, we're going to come out here and get better. Mm-hmm. We're going to do what we do. We don't give a damn about what you're thinking about and what you do. We do our thing. We don't follow the leader. We set the tone. That's me. I can't not be that way.
There was a few plays I want to highlight in the preseason game against Cincinnati, the second game. So this was the second drive. They came out in 12 personnel, under center. They ran the ball a couple times, and not long after, it was a play action pass. And then when I look back at your 1982 championship game against Dallas, there was again like a 7-play series where you start off as the wing back. You're doing a block to the outside, and 2 plays later you're blocking to the inside for Riggins both of these times, and then 3 plays later it's a play action off of you blocking to the inside. So it just seems like I'm hopeful that the team is able to use these different types of formations, 12, to as a way to create explosive plays. That's kind of my whole thought, and it was what brought me to talk to you, because it's like, here it is at the middle of it is the H-back, and I just thought it was so cool. So like, do you think that could you talk a little bit more rather about how jumbo 3 tight end sets allows you to max protect so that you can fire downfield?
Well, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. First of all, you have to have a Charlie Brown or an Art Monk. They have it. They have similar personnel. Because to get the big play, you got to have a Gary Clark. You got to have a Ricky Sanders. You got to have a Virgil Sia. Yeah. So we got them. But you don't have to throw to them on first down or every down. So I'm going to lure the safeties in, because once I get the safeties in the run game, now I have an advantage. They want them to just cover receivers. No, I want them to tackle, because every time they got to hit Riggins, it takes a little out of them. So if they got to tackle John and cover Art and Charlie, that's too hard on any human being. So the key, how do I get them in that? Well, the 3 tight end jumbo puts them down in the box. They're not going to be all split. I could work condensed. It doesn't mean we still can't run it. We can run the same thing we could if we spread everybody out. You just bring it in like an accordion, run the same thing. It's making you think we're not going to throw. Then good play action, because we are committed to run. I get the safeties up. Now I got a guy. Every receiver in this league worth his salt should be able to beat a corner one-on-one, because the corner doesn't know if it's run or pass, but you know it's a pass. How in the heck can I not beat you if I know what I want to get to and you don't, and I can run? But how do I get you in that scenario? Well, then I got to go play action. That's why I love play action. I'm not opposed to drop back. I'm not a gun guy, but I can take the gun. You could throw 50 times in a row for me if we win. If they catch it and we block it, hey, I ain't mad. I just got to win. I don't care how we do it.
Right.
I just think the safest way to do it is to help my defense. And jumbo flexing in and out. Also love 3 wide outs, 3 POs. I love, they used to call it posse. I love it. Right. Because now I put you on the wing, but you know what I want to do now? We don't run a lot of draws. See, back in the day, we called them paint. So it's like you draw, the code was paint, 20-30 paint.
That's funny.
So that way we could talk, joke at audible, 20 paint, and we knew paint meant draw. So we run that. So if a good screen team, which I'm sure coach will add more into that, but we a screen team, a draw team. There's so many things you can do with their quarterback situation, especially based on who's playing, because 4 gives you a tremendous run option. possibilities. 8 can do it. So can 14. But it's not what his forte is. That's when we get you. When we get people doing things you're not expecting them to do, now I win. You win if you know I'm not going to have him do it. Now you rush the hell out of it. That's the cat and mouse game that Belichick plays with everybody every week.
This is great, Doc. I really appreciate you breaking it down for us. I really, I just find it so interesting to see how coaches and players come together. And
it's a beautiful thing. And Galdi, he gets it. I mean, Al, he gets it, but he's taking it. I always say Al takes it, makes it synthetic. I mean, he is like, he's taking it to a whole different level, and it means a lot because you got to know these things because tendencies matter. Shifting in baseball, even though I hate it, I respect it because I understand it. If I know where you're going to hit it and you can't change that habit, isn't it amazing the best athletes in the world that play baseball? I can put everybody on one side and they can't hit the ball to the left. As good as they are, they can't do it. Now, Rod Carew, my old teammate Gary Templeton, they do it. That the slap hitters, because they're phenomenal hitters and they can control the bat. All the rest of these guys, look at, they're bitching about shifting. Hey, no problem. Just hit it where they're not.
Right. You play baseball at UCLA?
No. Baseball was my number one sport growing up. Oh, okay. I hurt my arm pitching. But my point is that first game I love is baseball. I still do. First game I was taught. We were doing signals at 10 and 11 years old. Yet these high school coaches now, they break the quarterback, come all the way to the sideline to them to tell them. I think it's asinine. You're restricting people's ability to expand their minds.
Right.
Because, but people do it. People allow them to do it because what's the principal going to do? He don't know. I mean, that's the whole thing about it. What's the owner going to tell him? He doesn't know the game. So whenever people are in charge of something they don't know anything about, this is what happens.
Yeah.
Mediocrity grows like a fern. So you get all these people making $4 and $5 billion a year and they get fired every 3 or 4 years. And the product just keeps going. It's a cesspool because the people at the top really don't know what's going on because they don't understand the game. They hire people to have to do it. And you're giving people a license to steal. When they know you don't know something and they interview well, some of these people win these jobs through the interview. Quote, who's interviewing them? The owner. Who? The owner. He doesn't know a damn thing about the game. Yeah, I know, but he's the guy interviewing him. And seriously, it should be a sitcom. Yes. I'm thinking about going back to Hollywood and doing a sitcom. Seriously, using my Gil credits and just go, I got an idea for a great sitcom. Yeah, and we'll do it. And people would laugh their butts off.
Yeah, like a so I guess you were talking now about like advice and making good decisions. Can you impart any advice on content creators in the fan base community like myself?
No, you know what? Here's where look, dude, you're already doing it because your creativity is based on your history. What has made you who you are? You said that the pandemic propelled you in this space. Yet here you and I, and you listen to me and Galdi, and now you and I are talking in a way that I have never discussed anything about the sport on the air because I've never had the format and it wouldn't have made sense. And everybody else in the terrestrial world of talk radio, they want to talk down to listeners. I've never believed in that. No, you talk up. It should be an educate if they want to learn, but some of them don't.
Right.
Some of them have blind loyalty. They just want to cheer. And look, fantasy, gambling, I'm all for all of that. Okay. Give me the game. You ask me, hey, you want to go to practice? Are they in pads? No, you go. I don't need to see that. I don't watch football unless there's contact involved. And I'm not listening to a cheerleader. I don't expect the people that I follow the game with to be cheerleaders. I expect them to be analysts. But yet, if they want to be cheerleaders, I have no problem with that. Click. No problem. Like, nobody's going to come to me when they want to go break it down because they're going to go click because they want to be pampered and they want to be whatever they want. I'm not doing it. I'm not your guy. That's why I love Patreon. No problem. But what you and I have gotten into in doing this, there's really no other. Warren Sharp, who's a great guy. I've known Warren for a long, long time. When he was initially getting started, he's now maybe one of the foremost, maybe top 2 or 3 in his space in the world. And I was with Warren many, many years ago in his inception, when he was talking about his concept and putting all the numbers together and whatever. And I was all into it. I was hey man, let me help. I invested with Warren. I saw where he was going, way over my head. That's why I go, but I go do me. Let me grind X and then he had the formula. He's like Galdi, him and Galdi. And so I've been with both these guys and they've enhanced me. I appreciate them. But where they've never been has been inside the meeting rooms.
Right.
So I've tried to display that. I try to tell Al all the time. Al, I love Al to death. I love him like a brother. And he would ask me to be serious. Well, how do you know? And he was serious about it. And I love that because we don't talk enough about the intricacies of what an OTA really, what do you actually do? Mini camp, what do you actually do? What's a meeting like? What do people do and say? Really never discussed. You know why? Because news directors don't consider it to be entertaining. I'm a high school guy. I love high school and youth sports, grassroots. I love the Maryland Heat. I was involved in it for 7 or 8 years. I just love it. They would tell, oh, don't waste your time on high. What do you mean waste my time on high school? I mean, we've got some of the best high school football in the country takes place in the District of Columbia, Prince George's County, Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
We got some of the best high school coaches in America in the DMV. Nobody hardly talks about it. So that's why with Patreon and getting in the season, I will, and I'll be doing it, And so that's why I love Patreon. I love this fact that I don't have to let somebody that I know has no idea about sports, but just happens to be in charge of a sports entity. I know he doesn't know what he's doing. He has no idea. Okay. Yeah. So I don't need him now. I can do my own thing. Same thing with the league. Same thing with half the owners in the NFL. It's just absolutely garbage. And they should be forced to sell their teams. I don't wish them no harm. Get paid, but you got to go. Because you're ruining this thing for people who really care about it. It's a damn shame. And you're asking me to pay these exorbitant amounts of money, and then you're telling me you're not going to play anybody. Well, I'll give you the finger. Okay, that's exactly what I do. And so, but if you work it out with me, and I know I can only speak for Washington, some of the plans and things that they have are so innovative in terms of the packaging they're doing now for fans. It's incredible. Oh, yeah. And it's give them a thumbs up for it. But we're 21 years later. Okay. So don't be turned off if I'm pissed off.
Yeah. No, they've earned that. And they've got to work on that. And they're working on it. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, they are. No, hey, man, listen. I'm the biggest fan. No matter how disrespectful you've been to me, I'm still want this to happen for the fan base. That's my point. No, yeah. I want this to, and I think it's working right. And if I didn't, I'd let you know. But I think it is. And I'm pulling for them. Man, I need this to happen. When they win, we win.
Amen.
Yeah. For potters, but podcast, it's like rain. We need them to rain on us right. So we can grow. and that's how I see it. So, but there's haters. Haters going to be haters. I'm not mad at you. It's your right.
Well, I just can't say how thankful I am to be able to talk with you and to have your encouragement and your knowledge, your education, your insight. I just love what you're doing at Patreon, and I'm just going to recommend that to everyone to go support you. Just amongst our podcast community, like Big Doug and WFT Declassified. I know all these guys really, really appreciate how you've supported them. And
I do. I tell them all, keep doing this. Keep going. And I every time they call me, yeah, I'm in. What you need, just go. We have to build our own base. Otherwise, we'll be controlled by morons for the rest of your life. The only way to gain your independence through this is through you have collaborative efforts and doing it for the right reasons, because you're just trying to help people who care, who want to learn about this. Some people don't care. They don't care, and that's okay. You know, I'm not mad at any of them, but I won't be manipulated by them. I will no longer give them. You can't give people your heart that don't respect it.
Right.
They're not worth it, and they're not worthy of it. So, you know, you move on. So I appreciate it. And tomorrow, and we had Gary Clark on Patreon. I love him. That
was great.
You know, it's amazing. I got to play with him. I played with Gary. You know, and he'll tell the story the best, but I just knew, I said, this boy, he's something special. You know why? All these guys are fast. They all can catch. They can all do all that. Nobody has his fire. He's got middle linebacker fire, you know, and that's rare. Not that you have to have it. James Arthur Monk is the best killer I've ever been around, because he didn't even have to be emotional. James is dangerous. Any guy that don't have to be mad to kill you, he's scary. He didn't even get him. It's just no big thing to him. Yeah. He's so even killed. I mean, it's just like he could murder you and just go, hey, whatever. Call me if you need me, and just walk away. Nothing fazed him like that. Charlie Brown, Gary Clark's energy. You know, we go through a practice, he's gonna come out and try to dunk on you on the basketball court. Those two guys are the best basketball players I ever played football with. And so they have those similarities. Virgil C., Alvin Garrett. I've never seen a human being coming out of a break like Alvin Garrett, you know. And so CNN, who I play with, all these guys, everybody brings something to the table. How does it go? But when you put it all together, I love it, the soups. My wife makes great homemade soups. My father was a chef. I love people who can create in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's what Joe Gibbs, he was able to take these people that nobody even paid attention to.
Right.
Nick Giaquinto, trash man. I mean, Nick in our Explode package.
Yes.
Phenomenal dude. I mean, you couldn't cover him. And so the schemes come out about it. It's just, Doug Williams and I had a great chat about it, because Doug was recruited by Joe Gibbs with Tampa Bay when Doug was a rookie. Joe Gibbs went out to scout him at Grambling. Joe Gibbs went and met him. They watched film together. Joe Gibbs goes back, and Joe Gibbs was offensive lineman. He was a center at San Diego State. So and he's been around John McKay. He was with the Trojans when the Trojans were Alabama. It's pedigree. He was at Florida State. You have to be around people that this is so important to, that it almost is life or death. The man slept at our facility 3 days a week.
That's amazing.
And Steve Spurrier, I love Steve. Steve's a great guy. Steve played more golf than he did football when he was here to coach. His priorities are different. He dominated in college. He may have dominated here had he been able to be, if they forced him to be a coordinator before he became a head coach. He needed to be humbled because he dominated college. You know, and so, but that's what you learn through the process. The talent that we've had, it's just been misplaced. And so we weren't able to maximize it. You had Marty Schottenheimer here. Marty Schottenheimer, you know, but he wasn't allowed to continue and do his thing. They went 0-5 like we went 0-5. And he ended up 8-8 just like we did. And there's no doubt in my mind they would have won big with him. But they wasn't allowed to continue. So then the experiments come in and, you know, Peter, Paul, whatever. And the rest has been it's a tsunami. It really has been. And then 212, you get a glimmer.
That's
and
right.
RG3. Oh my God.
But now it's 2021. I feel like this is.
I know. You know what? And I give Kurt his due too. They won it with Kurt. I'll never forget that night in Philadelphia when they won the East. We put them caps on. Listen, man, I remember everything. It was that precious. And then, but we lost the home playoff games. Packers, Seahawks.
Oh yeah.
That's not us. We lost the Bears in 85. It's the worst moment of my life, worse than the Super Bowl loss, was losing in front of our people at RFK. And so Marty used to say, I feel I see a gleam. And I would be laughing so hard because he was serious. He really felt something. Now, was he perfect? Nobody is.
Right.
Nobody's perfect. The thing with Darryl Green, I understood it, but I didn't like it. But because I'm in love with Darryl, that doesn't mean I'm right either. But when you go through Joe Gibbs and you see the byproduct, and you have a strength and conditioning coach that we had the best in the league. Dan Riley was the best in the league, and we had it. It just, I'm gonna let you go because I would do this forever because I'm thinking about Nate Fine, our photographer. We had the best people.
Okay.
Dave Bernetti, our equipment guy, he's with the 49ers now. You see him on the sideline. He's on the sideline.
Oh yeah.
We had the best. We had all these people, man.
Right, Doc, you're the best.
No. The fact that we had Shanahan, that we had McPhee, that we had the kid down in Green Bay. Now, all of them were here. It ain't like we didn't have, they were all here. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm holding on to Ron with dear life, because I don't want another change.
No.
I want this thing has got to work. We got to all help to make it work because there's been way too much suffering and it's just not necessary. Didn't have to happen.
No.
Didn't have to happen. No, it didn't have to happen. But there's no cure for arrogance. There just really isn't. You know, not when it's insulated with wealth. Just can't beat it. Well, Doc, I really appreciate you joining me, and I hope to do it again real soon. Hey, man, you're a patron, man. I do things, do special things for special people. Yeah, I want all my fans and viewers to please go support Doc on Patreon. Just outstanding content. But we got a disclaimer now. I'm like the Surgeon General. You know, be cautious. Right. Because it may not work for you. I mean, it may be too potent. You may need to take you may need to take baby steps. That's right. Before you jump into the lion's den. Right. And also, everyone, don't forget, every Sunday morning, 7:30 p.m. Fox 5 for the pregames. Yeah. You know, that's the best way to get ready for your game day with Doc. Yeah. Cannot wait, man. I really am excited about it. And I will, I'll turn over the sidelines to the Hog Farmer and the Warrior, and company. I just think that we're in good hands. You know, we're really in good hands, man. The rally captain, this dude is tireless. We got so many great people that are out there, and support them. I mean, support the hell out of them, man. And let's see if we can win in September. That's our goal. We got to win in September. All right. Thank you so much, Doc. Brother. I'm out. We'll talk soon, brother. Peace.